Cincinnati took care of one of their biggest needs by taking care of T. Higgins, getting Jamar Chase done. So I look at that offense now as pretty good. You've still got a couple pieces that I do want to address in the draft, but I really want to lean on the defense. We are a month away from the 2025 NFL Draft. What can Cincinnati do in Green Bay to solidify this defense and be a contender in 2025? I'm Jeremy Green of ESPN Radio Asheville and NFLDraft.net, and this is a 4-round post-free agency mock draft for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ain't no truth on the radio station. Somebody owes me an explanation. Well, I get knocked down, I get back up.
The Sportsocracy.
And I'm unapologetic.
We start in the first round with Cincinnati. I'm going to put the board up on the screen. We are already to their pick, and they have a handful of players that I think would really benefit them. You've got Walter Nolan on the board, who I really like. You've got a handful of edge rushers. I think the strength of this draft is at edge and defensive tackle, so I think I can address that with my pick at 49, my pick at 81. There is a player that I think is just special, and we've gone through fatigue with him because we talked about him for so long, and that's where I'm going to go for the Cincinnati Bengals. It's Malaki Starks, safety out of Georgia. Look, this secondary is not good, but they have pieces. What they really need is the guy that directs the defense, and I think Malaki Starks can be that. I've heard a lot of talk that he is not an elite athlete. He's not a special athlete. No, he's a damn good football player. I'm in the SEC footprint, so I cover a lot of Georgia games hands-on. Malaki Starks always looked like a top 10 prospect to me. Just seemingly anytime he was near the ball wound up on the ground. 20+% incompletion rate when he was thrown at. That's insanity. That he forced literally 1 out of every 5 balls that was thrown his way, he forced it to hit the ground. He's an elite, high-end safety. I think he can play in single high, 2 high. I know Cincinnati has a couple players that they believe in. They were terrible last year. And I look at what Lou Anarumo did, what Al Golden will look to do. I think Malaki Starks can be the piece that ties it all together. And safety's not real deep in this class. So if I want to add one, I need to do it early. So I do that here. Number 17, Malaki Starks. Let it process all the way down. Oh. And there are a lot of players there I like, but not necessarily any that I'm just completely in love with. The linebacking core for Cincinnati, I feel like with adding Oren Burks, you're already pretty good there. In my nickel defense, I really need to be able to move Dax Hill into the slot. I feel like I take Savon Ravel with every team just because he keeps seemingly falling here, whether he should or not. Let's look at the other corners that are on the board and see if there's one that really... I think I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to go Darien Porter, cornerback out of Iowa State. Height, weight, speed monster, really good in coverage. Only allowed a 29.4% completion rate last year at Iowa State. Really good in zone. But he's got all the traits to play man as well. Didn't see him do a ton of that last year at Iowa State, but he's a converted wide receiver. He's got great ball skills. Absolutely one of those players that I feel like is going to come into the league and be able to play right away. This also allows me to move Dax Hill into the slot. I have Cam Taylor-Britt on the other side, and I feel like I've really addressed my secondary. I know everybody's going to say, but what about that? Well, look how many players you have already put on this team. Trey Hendrickson is still here for right now. Whether that's the way it ends or not, I don't know. But as of right now, he's on this team. You also have Joseph Asai, who I really liked coming out, has shown some inside-out versatility, and you got Miles Murphy that you added a few years ago. You also have Chris Jenkins that, no, he wasn't great last year, but this is still the same brain trust that drafted him. They believe in him. If you can shore up the secondary, I feel like the front seven will get better. I still want to address it, but having 2 secondary players that fall right in my lap like this, I can't resist it. So in the second round, I'll take Darien Porter. Now I really want to get either a front 4 on my defense or a guard for my offense. This is always the pain in the ass of doing these live. Is that it is you get to this point and you just go, man, I overplayed my hand. I didn't get one of those high end edge guys. There are still players I like, but maybe this is a little bit early. I could go Oladejo, but I almost feel like that's a hat on a hat. I really want a defensive tackle. This team got better against the run as the year went on. Just looking at how this team plays in a base, TJ Slayton's a way better pass rusher than he is run defender. BJ Hill's a better run defender. I could go Jordan Phillips here and just shore myself up and really hope that I get out of Miles Murphy what I was looking to get. Let me just look at the board on the whole. I could go interior of the line with Jonas Savanea or Jared Wilson. I don't really feel like I have to do that, though. I mean, they need a guard, though. You know what? I'm going to do that. Let's go. I'm going to go Jonas Savanea to take over one of those guard spots. Big kid out of Arizona. He can kick out to tackle if you need him to. I think he's a little slower footed at tackle, so I think his best position is at guard. He played tackle at Arizona, but he's also played guard at Arizona. He's shown the versatility. He's hyper athletic for his size. He needs to develop a little bit more of a mean streak. He's got really good feet for a player that's as big as he is at 6'5", 336 pounds. A lot of experience, comes in really ready to play. I think he can play tackle, but I project him at guard. So I'm going to take him right here in the third round and hope one of those defensive linemen falls to me in the fourth. Final pick is 119. I've addressed my secondary. I've addressed my spot on the offensive line that I really needed to deal with. Now let's see what we've got we got J.J. Pegues, who I don't mind. Don't love him, but I don't mind him. Let's see what we have for edge rushers. Oof. There are a few guys that I like. They're just developmental pieces. This is one of the reasons I like doing this way is that you show what can happen if you don't address a position early. I didn't take Kenneth Grant was not on the board, so I didn't have the opportunity to take him. And you mix that with the fact you just took Chris Jenkins. I don't love that anyway. But now you're seeing a couple secondary pieces that I could have taken later. I wouldn't love it, but I would still like it. I'm going to go to the defensive line. I'm going to add another player in here. I'm going to go J.J. Pegues, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. He is super versatile. I think he's more of a jack of all trades, master of none. But he played fullback at Ole Miss. He played defensive tackle at Ole Miss. He played tight end at Auburn. I mean, this kid can just do a little bit of everything. He's still learning how to play defense because defense was something that happened when he transferred to Ole Miss. He converted to a defensive tackle. He's 6'2", 325 pounds, just a giant kid, very versatile, can do a little bit of everything, but you're going to have to be a little patient with him. I like the idea of pairing him with a BJ Hill, who is a veteran in this league that's been around the block. This is about the range that he should fall in. Actually, might be a little bit of a value. So right here, I'll take J.J. Pegues out of Ole Miss. We'll see the grade that PFF gave me. PFF loves giving me shitty grades because I do mock drafts that are a little bit more realistic. All right, I'll slide that onto the screen so that you can see that. Got an A- for Malaki Starks. I would agree with that. I think that's the range for him. Darien Porter, I got dinged for taking him over Savon Ravel. I just don't think Ravel's going to be there at 49. Jonas Savanea, I got a C, and then a B+ for J.J. Pegues, which gives me an overall grade of a B. Cincinnati Bengals fans, how do you feel about this mock draft? Should I have addressed defensive line earlier? Is there a position I should have addressed instead of going Malaki Starks? Comment those in the comments. Let me know what you think of this. We're getting ready to do our A+ 7-round mock drafts. Those are not in a vacuum. Those are what is the absolute best thing that could happen for the Cincinnati Bengals. We will be starting those next week. They'll come out here on the channel. If you like this video, It helps more than I could ever say. Helps the algorithm pick it up so more Bengal fans can see it. And if you like this channel, subscribe to the channel so you can see all of our content as we go through the Draftmas season. We will be live in Green Bay, Wisconsin for all 3 days of the 2025 NFL Draft, and it's yours right here in the Sportsocracy. I'm Jeremy Green, at ESPN Draft Nerd on Twitter, and this was a 4-round mock draft for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ain't no truth on the radio station. Somebody owes me an explanation.
The Sportsocracy